In recent years, people have overvalued the specific KPI called return on ad spend, or ROAS as you guys know it. And in my opinion, and in the way that our agency operates, we believe that the ROAS is actually not the main thing that you should be looking for, whereas the CPA is the most important metric to look for. What's up, guys? Nikita from aspectagency.com, and today I'll be showing you exactly 3 reasons why optimizing for your CPA is much more superior than optimizing for return on ad spend. The first reason is optimizing for a lower cost per acquisition is just a more reliable metric. As we've known before the iOS hit, and just overall in general, if you're advertising on Facebook, you know that Facebook over-reports their conversions. If someone visits your page and also sees a Facebook ad and they also convert, that means that's considered a conversion, and then Facebook reports that because that's how Facebook's algorithm works. It over-attributes purchases in your ad account, which then messes up the dashboard of what your actual ROAS is, versus when you have a CPA-based goal or a CPA-based optimization. There you know exactly what it costs to acquire a customer, as well as you can track that easily. iOS 14.5 hit a couple months ago. It basically killed that over-reporting because now it's a lot harder to attribute view-through and clicks. So it's a lot harder to track that actual ROAS because Facebook can't over-report anymore. And now it's getting a lot harder to even track CPA. When it comes down to just the reliability aspect of it, the worst case is all you can do is just look at how much you've spent in advertising, what are your total gross sales for the month for your store, and see how your advertising impacted your store. Maybe test out a week where you don't do advertising and see how your store performs, or do a week where you do advertising and see how it performs. There you can at least balance out what your cost per conversion is by just looking at the sheer number of conversions, plus your actual return on your store versus a specific ROAS number of a 3x or a 4x or a 7x or a 12x, etc. So it's just a more reliable metric. The second reason is it's easier to optimize for CPA rather than ROAS. So why is it easier to optimize for cost per acquisition versus return on ad spend? Well, number one, CPA is more stable. You can stabilize basically your cost per acquisition, and you know exactly what that cost per acquisition is, so that way you can optimize your entire operation around that cost per acquisition. And I'm not talking about marketing. You can easily do more upselling, you can do more cross-selling, you can do affiliate deals, partnerships with different stores, etc. While those metrics help with cost per acquisition, you can also optimize things on more of the back end, like the manufacturing process, the shipping you use, the cheaper, finding better or cheaper materials that cost a lot less, so that you drive up your profits and drive up your margins. So that's where the CPA is a lot easier to optimize. Whereas, where you're optimizing for return on ad spend, it's going to fluctuate because, and it's also a very short-sighted way of thinking when you're trying to optimize for your campaigns. And lastly, the third reason, it's just a lot easier to scale with a cost per acquisition optimization versus return on ad spend. How would you, consider scalability here? Because number one, ROAS actually goes down as you start to scale up, mainly because it just gets harder and harder to acquire a customer at scale. So the AOV fluctuates, your average order value, and it's basically turning into something that's very unpredictable. One order is $90, one order is $50, one order is $75. You don't exactly know you know your average order value, but the average order value fluctuates, and this is where CPA optimization comes in. If you're solely focusing on return on ad spend, then you can easily, hinder your growth by shutting down your campaigns too early, or not being able to scale to a certain point because you're optimizing for a specific ROAS, and that like audience pocket that you have can only get you so much of a return on ad spend. Where at CPA, you can scale beyond that return on ad spend sort of glass ceiling, because you're only focused on the CPA, and you're focused on getting that CPA, or getting as many conversions as possible at that target CPA. So this basically means you can, you can work on your back end, again, to increase your AOV if things go wrong, but you can also go to a larger audience with your CPA. And in addition to that, you can also use that CPA as a benchmark that, maybe you're using in Facebook ads, or you're using in Google ads, or TikTok ads, or whatever your cost per acquisition is in different channels. You can then utilize that specific cost per acquisition metric in all different platforms and basically replicate that same exact acquisition process all throughout different channels. So for example, if you know your CPA on Facebook is $15 and you go to a different platform like TikTok or Google ads, then you know that you're generally looking for a $15 CPA versus, you're looking for a 4x ROAS on Facebook, and then Google ads is a different ROAS, TikTok ads is a different ROAS, because these are all different platforms and they all have the same attribution properties, but at the same time, we know that Facebook over-reports. So who do you really trust here? And the thing is, this can also transcend to not only acquisition by paid channels, you can also do acquisition through PR, branding, partnerships, etc. So now you know exactly what to look for when it comes to acquiring a customer, as well as how to sell them on the back end through either subscriptions, repeatable purchases, etc. Now, again, I just want to go ahead and preface this that these are the main 3 reasons that we actually, in our agency, use CPA more than return on ad spend. While we do, emphasize the importance of return on ad spend, we also let our clients know and let our clients understand that CPA is our driving factor, and having a solid CPA or having a scalable CPA is what's actually going to drive their brand up from 10, 20, 30K a month in sales to over $200,000, over $300,000 a month in sales, because CPA is what's scalable. Return on ad spend is very rarely scalable. I've only had, it's very rare that you see it. I've had it happen maybe once with one client where the ROAS scaled with our CPA, but most of the time CPA is something that you need to absolutely pay attention to and optimize for, and kind of switch your mentality around versus the return on ad spend. Now, are you a store owner and are looking to add an extra $50,000 to $100,000 in monthly recurring revenue to your store? Then we should go ahead and hop on a scaling initiative call and see what Aspect can do to help your store scale. The link to book the scaling initiative call is down in the description below. Now, with that being said, that's pretty much it for the video. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you have any other ideas on topics, or if you have any questions regarding e-commerce marketing, etc., leave your comments down below. I check and read all of them. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.